Original.
Hello, and welcome to Web Crawlers, the podcast where we do a deep dive into some of our favorite mysteries. Each week, we will introduce our topic, lay out our research and findings, reveal some conspiracy theories, and conclude with our own hypothesis. I'm Allie Siegel.
I am Melissa Stettin.
And I, producer Maria.
Melissa, who are our fabulous bimbos who are joining our Patreon this week?
Well, we've got Emmeline, John, Noah, and Loretta.
I love the name Loretta. Like Loretta Lynn. Who was that? She was like a country western musician, I think.
A singer.
Yeah, great group. I love all those names, but great group of folks. I am so excited about our episode today. We are going to talk all about scams.
Yes.
And no, not just the time that Melissa photoshopped a lotto ticket to look like she'd won and posted it online for attention.
Hey, what's the big idea?
For attention.
And I got attention.
You sure did. Didn't publications contact you?
News stations called me to wanting to interview me about winning the Mega Millions or whatever it was.
Well, we're going to talk about today how social media plays a huge part in scamming these days. We're going to talk Fyre Fest, Theranos, Epstein, and other scams that have rocked our social media age. I love Theranos.
She just had a baby. Or no, she's pregnant. She's like 9 months pregnant. And she's going to court. I think she did it on purpose, too, for sympathy.
Her water's going to break in that trial. I bet you she did do it on purpose. That would not surprise me at all for sympathy.
A water break in trial. What a
exciting.
wild thing.
I would, if I was going to trial, I would just keep an Evian bottle up my vahoo and just squeeze it, do a Kegel. Yeah. We're going to talk to vice journalist and executive producer of the Netflix documentary about Fyre Fest, Gabrielle Bluestone. And she also has a new book out called Hype, all about scamming. Gabrielle broke the Fyre Fest story. She was the first one to write the article,
awesome.
Which we'll talk to her about.
A national
and her
hero.
other articles are great too. Truly a national hero. So let's get into it. First things first. Let's talk the scam that rocked the world, Fyre Fest.
Yes.
We will obviously ask Gabrielle more questions about it later, but we all know Fyre Fest from the Hulu and Netflix documentaries and that infamous cheese sandwich picture.
Oh, great. Great.
It was supposed to be the best music festival the world has ever seen, brought to you by entrepreneur Billy McFarland and obviously Ja Rule. I always wondered why Ja Rule.
Because he's Ja Rule. Duh.
We'll have to ask why he was chosen. McFarland hired Fuck Jerry to be on his marketing team. He is that Instagram account that just steals stuff from people. And now it's just that annoying guy who holds a sign saying different things.
Wait, that's the same guy?
That's the Fuck Jerry account now.
Oh, that like holds up signs that are basically like tweets.
Yes.
I hate it. It's so annoying.
Yes. It's the worst. Also, Fuck Jerry now has a collaboration with the clothing company Zara, and it's just pictures of that guy with his sign.
Serious?
I sent a link to Maria because I was so upset. Maria and I hate the Zara website so much.
I can't tell you. The Zara website is the worst. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if there's like some hidden messages in it. I don't know what's going on.
It's like an art project.
But it's no way to shop. It's no way to shop. I don't understand. Do they not see their sales are probably going down online? I don't understand.
It's crazy. They'll be selling a picture of a dress and the picture will be of a sofa in black and white with no dress and no model.
The black and white. Like, I was looking at a dress. It was in black and white. I was going, wait, in what universe am I buying this? If you're showing me the picture in black and white.
Yeah. Or they'll be selling a shoe and they'll just show a picture of the tip of the shoe and nothing else.
It's like a dress.
So
they're featuring the dress and then it'll be like shoes. You're like, I can't even see the shoes.
It's gonna come out as some Banksy project. I promise you, this isn't real. There's someone.
It's more of a Mr. Brainwash.
Is something's going to come out and going, for 2 years, Zara pulled the wool over millions of Americans' eyes. And it'll be some art project because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
I've never bought anything from the Zara website because
I have, because I just have a problem. But do you remember 2 other crazy things happened with Zara? One time there was a dead rat sewed into a coat. And another time,
what?
Yes, and then another time there was a note that said "help me" or something from one of the factory workers.
I remember hearing about the note.
Are you serious? Oh my god!
Yeah, they were abusing the factory workers wherever the stuff is made, and one of them had sewed in a note into the pocket, being like, "Help me."
I've
please.
heard about that. How did the dead rat in the factory?
This is. I'm going on their website right now. I just want to.
No, Maria, don't do it.
I have to.
Maria. Trigger warning.
It's gonna ruin your day.
It's. I'm literally on the homepage, and it's so bad. I can't.
Don't even try to do it on your phone. It's not even worth it.
Oh, I can't imagine. They also released sweatshirts at one. I love that this episode isn't about Zara at all. We were going on a tangent. They also released sweaters at one point that were reminiscent of the Holocaust. They were yellow with blue or blue with yellow stars, or striped with. It was. They're crazy.
I was at Zara once and I saw a striped outfit, like a blue and white striped outfit, and I was going, "This looks like a Holocaust,
like Auschwitz."
Yeah, it was very. And I was going like, "Whoa, that's weird." It's Zara's got some screw loose.
Something's off. Something's off. Something's off.
We're gonna find it. We're gonna figure it out.
We're gonna find out. Something's off at Zara. And we're gonna find out. Anyways, back to Fyre Fest. It was all about marketing. Influencers and celebrities like Bella Hadid, Kendall Jenner, Emrata, Hailey Bieber all promoted the concert on their pages with weird photos and videos. It was to take place in the Great Exuma in the Bahamas over 2 different weekends. And we will never forget that moment in the Fyre Fest documentary on Netflix, where event producer Andy King told Customs he would suck dick for Evian water.
Oh, iconic moment.
Iconic moment in history to go down for the ages. According to Wikipedia, the event sold day tickets from $500 to $1,500 and VIP packages, including airfare and luxury tent accommodations for up to $12,000.
Oh.
Customers were promised accommodation in quote unquote modern, eco-friendly geodesic domes and meals from celebrity chefs. The final advertised lineup was for 33 artists, including Pusha T, Tyga, Designer, Blink-182, Major Lazer, Disclosure, Migos, Ray Sremmurd, Kai Tranada, I don't know who some of these people are, Lil Yachty, Matoma, Klingande, and Skepta, Claptone, La Youth. I'm not going to say the rest of these because I don't know who they are. In the days leading up to the festival, all the aforementioned acts pulled out.
I remember, didn't Mark Hoppus tweet?
Yeah.
Do like a day before, like, I'm sorry, we have to pull out of Fyre Fest for
we're not
unforeseen circumstances or something.
Yes. Major Lazer just never showed up, or they never confirmed. To make matters worse, Wikipedia says, organizers of the Fyre Festival planned their first event April 28th to 30th for the same weekend as the Exuma Regatta, which is a Bahamian sailing race series that utilized most of the island's hotels, vacation rentals, and resources.
Whoops.
So when Fyre Fest went to shit, there were no hotels for people to go to,
right?
No Airbnbs, no
it was all those
taxis
like,
to pick
tents.
them up. Yes. The company had spent all the money they'd been loaned and investments on personal payouts, influencers, and large offices in Manhattan. Fyre Fest was left with nothing. First, there was a huge storm before the first weekend of the festival. All the tents, mattresses, etc., were laid outside and were soaking wet upon arrival. The roads were not completed. There were no chefs or gourmet food, just bread and Kraft cheese singles. People waited in the rain to find housing, but eventually just started fighting over the tents. There were no musical acts. People ran out of food and water, and the water was being held at customs, which is why that guy said he'd suck dick for Evian.
Right.
There was no electricity, no running water, no cell service. So these people couldn't call for help, couldn't call their private jets. And there was only porta potties. Remember, people had paid $12,000 for this, a lot of these people. The festival had also been promoted as cashless, so no one had money to pay for taxis or for
They
food.
had these like accounts or bracelets or something where they had to put money onto them before.
Yes. They had bracelets that were loaded with money. So I think it was some sort of digital thing where they would put their bracelet up and pay. So these people had like no money or credit cards, came
because they didn't think they
to
were
the Bahamas for the weekend with nothing. I think they were chartered a private jet there or something. Yeah. So they just showed up with nothing. And then this all happened. So obviously it didn't work out. There was no music, no food, and a storm. Then they tried to get a flight back. The flight back at first was delayed and then it was canceled. They were detained at the airport without food, water, or air conditioning. And it was super hot.
The videos from this were amazing.
Yes. It's insane. Kids started passing out from heat and dehydration, and one person was hospitalized. Also, what's even more interesting, and we're not going to get into this too much, but this wasn't McFarlane's first scam. The first company he created was called Magneses.
Oh, right.
And it was this strange credit card company, and it was a private group that offered tickets to elite exclusive events, but they never actually pulled through on any of the offers.
Oh, right. That's in the documentary.
Yeah. So they said if you join this club for $100,000 a year, you get unlimited tickets to the opera, Beyonce, Jay-Z, you can get into this party, but then they weren't getting into anything. They thought you could get limos on demand, stuff like that, and he wasn't pulling through.
Anyone that says like, hey, I think I'm going to start a credit card company, I would be like, can you imagine if I was like, you guys, I have like a business idea, and you're like, what? I was like, I want to start a new credit card.
Well, you just told us about the Earios card, so I'm a little confused.
Earios
well,
card.
And I do hope you guys use that because the points are really good.
Yeah, the mileage.
But please use those. Please use those.
All right, we will. It was a really long email you sent us at 3 a.m. about the Earios credit card.
Giving our social security numbers and credit checks.
Our mom's maiden name. It was really weird.
A lot of exclamation points throughout the email. Must act now.
Beware, beware.
Please.
Anyways, Billy has continued to scam even during his trial. In Gabrielle's article for Vice, she says Fyre Fest founder Billy McFarland was already out on bail facing 2 counts of federal wire fraud this winter when he began orchestrating another scheme to defraud the victims of his earlier scams of an additional $100,000.
You got to give it to him. He's motivated.
Scammers got to scam.
Yeah.
He has been sentenced to 6 years in prison.
Wow.
Next, Gabrielle wrote another great article about Blade, the Uber for helicopters.
I forgot about that.
The company had a spokesperson named Simon McLaren who had been quoted publicly speaking about the company in the New York Times, the Washington Post, Fox Business, CNN, etc. But it turns out Simon didn't even exist. He was a fictional person created by the CEO and his team. They hadn't hired a spokesperson. So when anyone would speak for the company, they just said that it was this guy, Simon.
That's kind of a good idea.
You know what's the grossest part is them deciding that the name Simon was the best thing to go with, because it's not the worst name for a representative.
No,
you know,
it's not bad.
Simon McLaren, mysterious.
Yeah, that's so gross. Is them like going, that's the name, you guys, that's the name, and all agreeing on it.
I don't think this is the worst idea, because one time a girlfriend told me that since women have a harder time being respected, when she would make reservations either for hotels or call companies, she would say, "Hi, this is the assistant for blah, blah, blah," to make it seem like she was a high professional or someone who needed an assistant. So I understand where this is coming from. It's weird for a big company. This is the weirdest part that I thought, though. The fake spokesperson wrote a blog on Medium. So the company had made a blog for this fake person called Simon McLaren's Curious Content.
What?
Oh, no.
Where he would write about living in New York during the pandemic and other things.
It's like he's like Carrie Bradshaw.
Yeah. like had a dating app. And yeah, super creepy and weird. Also, the company even staged this whole layoff of Simon before they launched.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's kind of smart.
Honestly, sounds fun. I bet that they bonded a lot over the Simon thing.
But
sounds
yeah, there was
fun.
that company that like pretended to have a male CEO.
Yes. It was this emerging company made by two women, and people weren't answering their emails when they saw that they were signed by two women and they weren't getting investments. So then they added a fake third male to the company, and they realized people started answering their emails or taking them more seriously.
Crazy.
So it's interesting. Yeah. This I'd never heard before, and I'm obsessed. Something called DashCon. Have you guys heard of this?
No.
Okay, so it was a fan convention in 2014 for Tumblr. It wasn't sponsored by Tumblr, but it was for people who have Tumblr, use Tumblr, blog on Tumblr,
like
famous
Tumblr.
on Tumblr. Yeah, anyone who's heard of Tumblr is invited to come. It was held in Schaumburg, Illinois.
I've been there.
There were allegations of corruption and mismanagement, just like Fyre Fest. Fans had to pay for the hotels up front and in cash, which was weird. They also had to pay up front with cash to use the facilities. I don't know if that means the bathroom and stuff. I don't know what that meant. Or restaurants. I thought that was weird. Also, a lot of the celebrity guests, I guess people who were popular on Tumblr, they also had people who were famous on Tumblr, I guess. There was...
Elisa Lam.
Elisa Lam.
She was big on Tumblr.
The ghost of Elisa Lam.
Taylor Swift does a lot of Tumblr stuff. She's always talking to her fans on Tumblr.
Still?
Okay, well, Taylor Swift wasn't there.
Taylor Swift?
But was Taylor Swift there? Taylor Swift, the Tumblr star.
Tumblr.
Okay, so the people from the podcast Welcome to the Night Vale, which trends pretty
I've
often.
Heard of that.
They also were guests there. They were on a panel.
Oh.
However, a lot of these people ended up dropping out because they were told they had to pay for their own rooms last minute. They showed up and the event planners were like, by the way, nothing's planned for or nothing's paid for. So when the panels were canceled, the organizers instead set up a huge ball pit like they have at McDonald's.
What? Oh no.
And they said that the attendees could play in the ball pit instead.
What? Why?
So people showed up thinking that they could see all of their favorite Tumblr posters and podcasters speak and lead panels or do
it was gonna be like a South by Southwest, like the conference part of it,
or Comic-Con.
Yeah,
it got to be a Comic-Con for Tumblr, and instead, the event planners said, "Here's a small ball pit. You can play with it. Sorry, you're not getting your money back."
It is interesting when you think about when people are like in a corner and they have nowhere to go, like what they'll do to like, get themselves out of
frantic, and they went ball pit. They got frantic, and the first thing they thought is ball pit.
Wow.
They were backed into a corner and they literally went ball pit. Get a ball pit. Just get a ball pit.
Someone get a ball pit. There's pictures of the ball pit, and it's hilarious. Yeah, if you look up DashCon ball pit, and apparently it became a meme. I don't remember any of this.
This was 2014?
It's a small ball pit in an empty warehouse, and people are just sitting on it.
This is real? That's for real? No.
Yeah.
What?
Oh my God.
It's like a tiny ball pit, like a blow-up pool.
Yes. We'll post it. It's amazing.
What?
Someone did a Lego version of it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I don't know how we missed this. This was a huge deal, apparently, in 2014. I have no recollection of it whatsoever, but almost the first Fyre Fest. Who knows? Wow. Next, let's talk about Theranos, which I'm obsessed with. Theranos was created in 2003 by Elizabeth Holmes, the eyeliner turtleneck blonde robot.
Yes.
She was only, which I did not realize, 19 years old.
Oh, that's why so many people were like invested in her. They're like, she's the next genius.
Yeah. Next Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
She had alleged to have developed blood testing machines that only needed very small amounts of blood and could be rapidly performed by automated machines.
Great idea.
Honestly, a great idea and sounds achievable. I don't know why it was so confusing.
Yeah.
She dropped out of Stanford to work on this project and used her parents' quote unquote educational trust. So, okay.
Mm-hmm.
She is also known for her deep voice, which is allegedly fake.
That's right. That's
and
not
Melissa,
her
if you could
voice.
play this YouTube, there is a clip of her on a podcast apparently slipping into her normal voice.
Oh, Elizabeth. Yeah.
And you guys can decide, you guys can decide whether or not you think that this is her real voice or if she just was intonating differently. I don't know if that's a word, but you know what I mean.
It makes sense.
You work to change things, and first they think you're
This
crazy,
is fake
then
voice.
they fight you, and then all of a sudden you change the world. And I have to say, I personally was shocked to see that the Journal would publish something like this.
Her voice, her deep baritone voice, was that fake too?
According to my sources, it was.
That's
an
her real
employee
voice?
who joined the company in 2011.
This is on
had a meeting
CBS
with her
this
shortly
morning.
after he joined, and she sort of expressed her excitement that he had recently joined. And as she got up, she forgot to put on the baritone and slipped back into a more natural-sounding young woman's voice.
No, it hasn't. Well, if I use traditional words.
It said, no, it hasn't.
No, it hasn't.
No, it hasn't. Well, if I use traditional words.
That music, you guys, though. That
I know.
that spooky
Haunting.
Halloween music.
That's like it's the Jason Friday the 13th music.
Yeah.
So she goes, you can hear her say, no, it hasn't. And then she goes back into the
Why
low
does
voice.
she
So
use
I don't
that
know.
voice?
Same reason why it's the fake. It's getting a guy. It's to be taken seriously in our society by being more quote unquote manly
Yeah.
in the way you present
Yeah.
yourself. Because if somebody talks like this, then someone's going to go, oh, that's a dummy over there. When in reality, it
If
could be the
someone
smartest
talks
person in
like
the room.
this.
If someone talks like this, you're not going to give them $1 million.
So there's a few videos on the internet of her slipping into her other voice, which is pretty crazy. She eventually raised $700 million from investors, being valued at $10 billion as a company. In 2012, Safeway invested $350 million to put the blood testing units into their stores. The problem is that none of this shit worked. It never did. Reports were inaccurate and exaggerated. If you watch the documentary on HBO of her, or maybe they're interviewing one of the people who worked in the lab, and they say that the bottles would just explode when they would put them in the centrifuge.
Yeah, the machine was like, wouldn't work.
Exactly. FDA regulations were not being met. Health code violations were happening, and the company was just bleeding funds and lying about it, saying they were making money. Eventually, the whole company had to shut down. They went bankrupt. They faced lawsuits from Walgreens and others. And Holmes and her partner, Balwani, were sentenced to wire fraud. They also allegedly destroyed a bunch of evidence. Also, the Theranos chief scientist committed suicide in 2013.
Oh, right.
Yeah, crazy.
And she's currently the trial is happening now, I believe. But yeah, she's like 8 or 9 months pregnant or something.
Well, she's got to do the water breaking trick.
Yep.
Get out of it.
Yep.
Melissa, there was this LA Lakers catfish scam story, which was crazy. And I wrote in the doc, Melissa, can you explain sports? They make me pass out. So I included the link. This happened on April 20th, 2021. So this is pretty recent.
Yes.
What happened with this?
Okay. So there's a thing called like Lakers Twitter. I guess I'm kind of a part of like Clippers Twitter, where like people just like
You are.
tweet about a sports team, and like I follow a bunch of like reporters and writers and stuff. So Lakers Twitter is like similar.
Can I ask a quick question? Do any of the actual Clippers follow you and stuff?
Yes. What Montrezl Harrell followed me. He's now on the Lakers. Blake Griffin
That's pretty
followed me
sick.
for a while, and then he unfollowed me. And,
Well, you haven't been performing up to par.
yeah, Robin Lopez follows me. He's not a Clipper, but he's a basketball player. CJ McCollum from the Portland Trailblazers follows me.
Oh my God.
I talk to him occasionally. Yeah, I'm big in
Wow.
NBA.
You're big in
Fun.
sports.
So in April, Vivian is this person on Twitter. Her name is like Butterfly 424 or something.
Oh, God.
She went missing, apparently. And so this guy, Josh, who was like, tweeted, "Hey, Lakers family, Vivian Flores at Butterfly 424 is missing. She's 5'5". She may or may not be wearing a wig because she's going through leukemia treatment. She's from Santa Monica. Please DM me if you have a lead or if you may see her." So then, of course, like Lakers Twitter was like, "Oh my God, we'll retweet this." Because like they knew her from, she did a podcast. Even like Ice Cube's son retweeted O'Shea Jackson Jr. He's like a big Lakers Twitter guy. He retweeted it and was like, "Hey, everyone, look out." So people began to question why this Josh guy was like the only person close to her who was showing any concern. Like her family and her friends, no one else was tweeting about her. They went back and looked through all of her tweets to like 2009, and she was interacting with this guy named Chumzilla. And so someone was like, "Hey, do you recognize this Vivian?" And they wrote back, "Oh, that's a big catfish account I went along with 11 years ago to see how far it would go. They originally impersonated model Roberta Little under the name Joanne Peters. I contacted her agencies a few times but heard nothing back." This was like over 10 years ago. Like this is a catfish account. And do you remember Twitter Spaces? It's kind of like Clubhouse.
Yeah, that was so weird.
So there was where people could like talk. This one guy, Kingsley, a Twitter user, he said that he had been in a relationship with Vivian, but also suspected that she might be a catfish because she wouldn't FaceTime with him. They were in like an online texting relationship. He's like, "Well, I never actually have seen her in real life."
What are you, 12?
And so, but then Kevin Durant hopped in this chat and was like making fun of people. It was like, "What is going on? There's a catfish going on." And everyone was like, "Yeah, like Kevin," like it was just a whole, like he was just laughing about it. And then people began to point out that all the pictures on her account were photoshopped, like clearly photoshopped pictures of her like playing basketball. Like it was just someone's head on a body, and everyone's like, how does everyone not know they're so bad. They're so badly photoshopped. And people put it into reverse Google image search, and the photos would pop up with like other people's heads on them.
Oh,
it's like
God.
She clearly put like a new head on them. But then Vivian was found. So this Josh guy tweeted, "Hey everyone, Vivian's been found alive and safe. Thanks everyone." But then everyone was like, "Who is this Vivian?" And so Josh was like, "Well, I think she actually might be a catfish because they have been doing a podcast together, but they didn't do it through like FaceTime or Zoom. They did it through audio only." So Josh was like, "I think I was duped too. Like this must be, I'm so sorry. Like I don't know this person." So then people were like, "Wait a minute." They tuned down Vivian's voice on the podcast. They're like, "It sounds like Josh's voice. Is he doing a podcast with himself?" They're like, "Wait, is Josh? Did Josh make up this person in order to do a podcast with himself?"
Didn't someone at the beginning of the story? Didn't you say someone said Josh was the catfish? Or was that someone else?
No, this guy Kingsley, who had been in a relationship.
Oh, got it,
with
got
her.
it, got it.
It was like, I think she's. So then people started accusing Josh of like, "You made up Vivian. This is you. You're making up Vivian." He swears to God. He's like, "I swear to God, I think I got catfish too. This is not me. I am not doing this." And he was posting like screenshots of like text messages he had with her. He's like, "Yeah, I talk to her all the time. Like I'm not making up these text messages." He was posting text messages between him and Vivian's sister. He's like, "I talked to her sister about her missing. Like, it's not me. I swear to God." So the account went away. Vivian deleted her account. But then she reactivated her account, posted a video of a girl holding a piece of paper that said Vivian. It was like a 2-second video. It was like, and there's no sound on it. But then everyone was like, "Wait, Vivian's spelled wrong. It's spelled Vivien.
Beverly Hills."
So I was like, "Who is this girl? Who did they pay to hold up this video?" And then they deleted their account again, and it's gone. So nobody knows who Vivian is.
No word since.
Nobody knows. But like NBA players were like making fun of it.
Yeah, it's spelling right, you guys.
Is that guy still doing his podcast?
No, I don't think so because she's gone. Because even the Josh guy was like, well, why is it spelled Vivian with an E? Like, please message me back. What's going on? And like, has never heard from this person again.
What a big mistake to make. What a big mistake to just spell the name.
How embarrassing. How embarrassing.
So that was a fun scam.
Wow, what a roller coaster.
Well, we'll talk to Gabrielle about scams like that too. She, like I said, is a vice journalist and executive producer of the hit Netflix documentary Fyre Fest, The Greatest Party That Never Happened. She also just wrote a new book called Hype, which sounds so great. I just ordered it on Amazon. This is the description of the book. It says, "We live in an age where scams are the new normal. A charismatic entrepreneur sells thousands of tickets to a festival that never happened. Respected investors pour millions into a startup centered around fake blood tests. Reviewers and celebrities flock to London's top-rated restaurant that's little more than a backyard shed." I forgot about that.
Wait, what is that?
We should ask her about that. It was this restaurant that someone opened in their backyard selling allegedly like fantastic, incredible food, and people are paying tons of money for it. And I think it was just like some guy cooking in his backyard random shit.
But was it good? I mean, it all comes down to like if it was good, but then
Okay,
if it was
good
just
point.
like if he was making ham sandwiches and kind of giving them out and going like, isn't this neat?
I think that might have been what I think it might have been. Are you getting some ideas, Maria? These unsettling stories of today's viral grifters have risen to fame and hit the front page headlines, yet the curious conundrum remains. Why do these scams happen? Drawing from scientific research, marketing campaigns, and exclusive documents and interviews, former Vice reporter Gabrielle Bluestone delves into the irresistible hype that fuels our social media ecosystem, whether it's from the trusted influencers that peddled fire or the consumer reviews that sold Juicero.
I had a Juicero.
What is a Juicero? I didn't know what that was.
I loved Juicero. Juicero was this thing that Martin bought, and it was this machine. And you would get juices delivered to you that you'd put in the refrigerator.
I remember this!
And it was these packets. I think I sent you guys videos of the Juicero. And it was vegetables and fruits in these packets. You would put it in the Juicero and it would squeeze out all the juice. You would get this fresh juice from the Juicero. And I loved it.
What was the scam? If you loved it, what was the scam? Was it just because you could have just opened the packets and drank it on your own?
Yeah, it was just like mushed vegetables and fruit inside of a packet that you put in this machine. I don't know. No one bought it, I guess. Everyone was like,
no.
You
Here
could
you go.
squeeze the packet itself.
You could squeeze it on your own. Bloomberg News published a story suggesting that the company's produce packs could be squeezed by hand easily and effectively.
I always thought it was this machine that like squeezed the juice and like you got this amazing juice.
That's so crazy. Oh my God. What a scam.
Yeah.
But then you think and you go, wow, what a scam.
Yeah.
What a scam.
We got it and I liked it. I thought it was great.
Well, we can talk to Jane of The Dream about that as well. This whole push towards wellness stuff where we think we need something in order to be healthy and we can't do it on our own. Yeah. You have to have this juicer or else you're not going to be able to eat healthy.
And how much is a Juicero? A Juicero was like hundreds of dollars?
Yeah, it wasn't cheap.
Because it seems like you could do the same thing with one of those toothpaste things that you put on the end of your toothpaste. It's like those plastic things, and then you just drag it.
Squeeze it out. I think Martin saw it on like Shark Tank or something. I don't know.
But it is a bummer if you enjoyed it so much and then it's like, why don't they just sell the packets?
Yeah.
Juicero is still the greatest example of Silicon Valley stupidity, says this CNET article.
Well,
it still haunts me. I see Juicero in my sleep. It comes to me in my dreams. I can't stop thinking about my Juicero. The $400 Wi-Fi connected juicer, billed by company founder Doug Evans as the first at-home cold press juicing system. What? Promised so much when it launched in 2016.
Okay,
wait, hold on a minute. Fresh juice.
There's a Vox article, and Melissa, it looks like it was taken in your kitchen, this picture. Look at this picture and tell me
Stop
this isn't like you in your kitchen, Melissa. I just
oh my
texted
God.
it to you guys.
That's not you, is it, Melissa?
No, it does look like my
That's
kitchen.
where you had yours too. I remember yours
Yeah,
being
right next
there.
to our refrigerator. We have that looks very
like
much
your kitchen.
That's so funny.
That's really scary.
That's so funny.
That would be crazy if it was taken in your house. It's you just going.
I thought that they stole that from your Instagram.
I know. That's funny.
Oh wow, they have a video here of someone just squeezing the juicero.
I remember
the
seeing
packet
that.
into a glass.
And I was like, well, you don't get all the juice.
Yeah, it says in April 2017, in a video that will never not be funny, Bloomberg showed that Juicero's produce packs were essentially giant ketchup sachets full of fruit and vegetable pulp that you could scoop straight out of the bag and squeeze with your own hands. No need to scan the QR code on the bag. No need to sync the app. No need to insert the produce pack into the Juicero. In fact, you could ditch that compost squeeze box altogether. Just use your meat hooks and mash that fruit pulp like God intended.
Well,
what can you do?
What can you do? What can you do?
Anyways, we will talk to Gabrielle about this and more in just one moment. Web Crawlers has a Patreon to get access to rewards, bonus episodes, shout outs, videos a day early. Oh God, I said, Please go to patreon.com/webcrawlers. You can donate as little as $2 a month to become one of our bimbo patrons. Also, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. If you give us a 5-star review, which we got a ton of. Thank you guys.
Yes. Did they leave their names in there to follow them?
People have been DMing us, and I've been following them on Instagram. So keep DMing us. If you're like, I left a review, I've been following everyone.
And one person DM'd my personal account. We meant the Web Crawlers account. We will follow you from Web Crawlers. Although I did follow you from my Twitter, but we meant the Web Crawlers account just
Allie
to
keeps
specify.
it pretty tight. She keeps a pretty tight Instagram following.
I got to keep my ratio clean. I'm sorry. But anyways, if you leave a review, DM us on Web Crawlers, your name on Instagram and Twitter, and we will follow you. Also, Erios has a hotline. Insert jingle here.
626-604-6262. Erios.
We will continue to play your deranged voicemails. That we love so much. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. Thank you so much for coming on. I read an amazing article you did with Jewish Insider. You had a friend who I guess was planning on going to Fyre Fest that you found out about via Instagram, and that's how the story ended up breaking. You were the first one to write the Fyre Fest story. How did that all go down, and what seemed off about Fyre Fest for you?
Yeah, so the thing that was really striking for me as like a writer discovering this story is that I came across it in such an organic way. Like I saw it on a friend's Instagram in the same way that you would see someone, like bragging about their Coachella access or whatever. But it was obviously, something I'd never heard of before. And so I, clicked on it to see what it was because I had that feeling of FOMO, like, oh my God, is this the coolest thing? Is everyone going to be going? And when I started to look at what it actually was, like, it just seemed like there was such a gap between the marketing and then what they were actually like selling and presenting. And like the more I dug into it, the more like nothing made sense. And it just started like, it was like the first time in my life as like a reporter that I had that like spidey sense tingling that like, oh, something is like really off here. And so I started investigating it more. And it turned out there were like all these whistleblowers who were trying to get anybody to listen, and nobody was, because nobody was leaving Instagram. So people were seeing it on the app, but like they weren't going to Twitter or like Googling it or looking at the company's website. Wow. And so that's kind of where that all started.
That's so crazy. Also, you have a background in law. You went to law school and you passed the bar exam. So is that advantageous when you're doing this reporting on scamming?
It definitely helps. I like to call it like the world's most expensive journalism degree. But it's, it's helpful in certain ways, especially when, it comes down to like looking up lawsuits, and I'm going tomorrow to a prison for a story. So like then it can be very helpful in those cases, but also like it gives you a good framework for like analyzing, I guess, what is kind of accepted in society and what's actually criminal, right? Like it lays out like the difference between intentional crimes and negligence, and the punishments are different. So it really does give you like an ethical and moral framework, I guess, for analyzing behavior in that way.
Yeah, which is a really important difference probably. We were reading about your book, which I just ordered. One of the subjects it says is London's top-rated restaurant that's little more than a backyard shed, which we hadn't heard about that debacle. What is that one?
So that's one of my favorite stories. It's very similar to the Fyre Festival, except it was done intentionally, where, this, at the time, Vice writer was just playing around with the algorithms, and he managed to make a shed in his backyard the top-rated restaurant on TripAdvisor. And it was such a neat illustration of how we as like consumers and users of the internet like react and perceive these things, where people had never heard of it before. There were no like real reviews of it, but because it was rated highly, everyone that went on TripAdvisor was like clamoring to get in. So people were like calling and trying to bribe their way in and like desperate to eat at this restaurant that didn't exist. And so eventually they did, like a one night only seating, and they had real customers there. And they just took like microwave dinners and served them. But the people had been primed to believe that it was, this incredible experience that, diners were like walking out saying it was the best meal they'd ever had. It was such a like illustrative example of how and then this is what really strikes me in reporting on this stuff is like how much we do the work for the scammers, right? Like we are like tricking ourselves into believing things like more so than they are in many cases.
So that was my next question is how much does social media and technology and marketing play a role in scamming today?
I mean, it's insane. The way that we interact with each other and the way that we view ourselves is so different as a result, essentially, of these algorithms that are designed to keep us on platforms as long as possible, right? Like the whole point is to keep our eyeballs attached so that we can see as many ads as they can put forth. But because of that, we have like changed the way that we live, the way that we interact. And I'm like as guilty of this as anyone. So I use the royal we like literally, like I really do. It's frightening to notice. One of the big things I think when social media migrated from being like a website thing to being in our phones all the time, and when our phones became cameras, those two like things converged to create this idea that like we are no longer experiencing experiences like for what's happening. It's primarily for how you can then portray it to your friends and the people that follow you, and like what you can like make content out of it. And so I've always said about the Fyre Festival, like I really believe if they had managed to get a band on stage or like, done a little bit more, that the people there would have talked about how fun it was. And like,
so true.
I've gone to Coachella. I guess I had a good time. I didn't love it, but like if you look at my social media posts from that time, like I was having the time of my life. And so it's kind of scary like how that is. And also the fact that it's like a little pernicious the way that they are designed. Because like when do you reach for your phone, right? When you're bored, when you're lonely, you're waiting in line, you don't want to be alone in your head. But what these apps do, and there are all these studies that show they like really exacerbate those feelings. So, the more you scroll, the worse you feel. The worse you feel, the more you want to scroll. It's a real addiction.
That's such a good point that if there had been one cool thing at Fyre Fest or an Instagram photo wall, people probably would have said they had the best time ever.
Yeah. And that was happening because initially, before everyone saw like the shitty campsite, they brought them to like a really fun beach bar and poured, free tequila down their throats. And everyone, I was watching at the time because I was waiting for that moment.
The shoe to drop.
Vice like wouldn't allow me to go. So I'm sitting in New York watching on social media, waiting for that, exactly for the shoe to drop. And it came, as soon as they left that beach bar. But before that, people were posting influencer photos, in like this beautiful blue ocean. They had like a little swing in the ocean and everyone was doing their little poses and people appeared to be having the best time ever.
That's so funny. Thank God they didn't let you go. It's a blessing in disguise. Is there a commonality between people who scam, or is it just random? Is it mostly men and women, or is it sociopaths, narcissists, or is it just people who want to do it?
Well, there definitely is, like a personality kind of disorder thing at play there, I think for sure. But what's really interesting about it is it definitely, I think all genders, all ages, all sexes, you see it everywhere from like Billy McFarland to Elizabeth Holmes to Caroline Calloway to, Anne Hathaway's ex-fiance who like pretended that he was part of the Vatican. But what everyone has in common and what's really interesting, like culturally about it, is that all the qualities that make someone a good con man are also what attract us to them, right? It's that confidence and that charisma. And like, it's not a coincidence, I don't think, that we call them con artists, right? Like there is an artistry that we admire. And con artists also seem to be the only types of criminals who really fail upwards. So, they serve time in prison, but they come out more notorious than ever. Anna Delvey has a Shonda Rhimes show. The Wolf of Wall Street got played by Leonardo DiCaprio. Billy McFarland got 2 documentaries and a book. They seem to do really well culturally. So that's very interesting.
Wow, that's such a good point. They can become president. Won't get into that, but that's another thing. What's this is kind of a general question, but what's the most interesting or surprising case or thing that you learned about scammers or frauds during your research, either of articles or for this book?
I find all of it fascinating, to be honest. But definitely thinking about how much work we do for the scammers, like I was saying before, was really surprising to me. Everyone knows that if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. But at the same time, it's like a very distinct human reaction to think that you are the exception to the rule and that this might be happening to you. There's actually a very funny, ridiculous case that came up recently. And I can't even talk about it without laughing, where, the New York Post reached out to me to get my expert con artist opinion on it, because all of these fans of the band Nickelback were getting scammed by a Nigerian prince type scam where, an anonymous Facebook profile was reaching out to them and saying hey, I'm the lead singer of Nickelback and our manager says we can only have a daily allowance. Can you help me out? But these people wanted so badly for it to be Nickelback that they took the chance just in case. Why not? If it Chad Kroger would send a little money, maybe it's really him. And people really will delude themselves and do that work, even when it should be so obvious. And I was also so surprised that there's such a thriving Nickelback community.
Maria, how much did you donate?
A couple hundred, and I don't regret it. I actually
You don't regret it?
No, because they needed the money.
Yeah, Nickelback needed the money. That's so amazing. But that thing is so true, where there's so many examples, and I've had friends fall for MLMs where they think that it's the exception. It sounds just like a pyramid scheme, but it's not. I swear to God. And, I sell makeup now and I make a commission, but it's not an MLM, I swear. And you just have to let them understand for themselves when it happens.
Remember Mona V?
My friend's sister sold that.
No,
for
I don't.
A year.
That was the big thing in 2009, 2010. It was wine. It was acai juice in wine bottles.
Oh, I do remember that.
It was the thing. I knew multiple people that were selling Mona V, saying this is the big thing, and this will cure you.
Yeah, I had girlfriends do Arbonne. I had a bunch of girlfriends do Arbonne makeup. To finish, have you ever fallen victim to a scam or had a friend be scammed and you had to tell them, girl, this is a scam or anything like that?
I mean, all the time, to be honest. I actually just got scammed this past weekend. It's not like the most interesting thing, but so I went out to dinner with a group of people, and I happened to be the person that put their card down because it was, they would only take a couple cards. And so because I was the one that paid, I took a picture of my receipt to Venmo everyone. It was not something I ordinarily do. I will see if the charge comes up on my card, and, if there's a charge I don't recognize, of course I'll report it. But in this case, the server actually changed the tip after the fact. And so I saw the charge on my card and happened to realize in this one instance, whoa, that is not what my picture says. And I'm almost afraid of how often this is happening because who really checks their receipts that closely? So that would be something I would say be very aware of. But, I also fall scam to the Instagram versus reality thing all the time. I'll order a product and be shocked that it doesn't look like what it looked like on the Instagram ad. And I still keep ordering it. I'm doing the work for them on the off chance that maybe this is the one.
Totally.
But it never is.
Wow. That receipt checking thing is a real hot tip. I never would have thought about that. So if things sound too good to be true, they probably are. And marketing, always do some background checks. Don't fall prey to marketing and check your receipts. Thank you so much for answering all these questions. If people want to read your work or follow you or do any of that stuff, where can they reach you?
I am on Instagram and Twitter. I promise I won't scam anybody. And
that's what a scammer would say.
I swear. No, if I'm a scammer, I have to tell you that's how it works. And you can find my book on Amazon or any independent bookstore.
Amazing. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Oh my God.
This was really fun.
Of course. Have such a good rest of the day.
Okay. Thanks. Bye, guys.
Well, thank you to Gabrielle for contributing such awesome information about scammers and social media and all this kind of stuff. If you have ever fallen victim to a scam or an MLM or anything like that, or if you went to Fyre Fest, we would love to talk to you.
Or if you had a juicero.
If you had a juicero. If you have ever taken Blade Uber for helicopters, if you have ever met Elizabeth Holmes, or if you could do an Elizabeth Holmes impression, please leave us a voicemail. Or Melissa, where can people contact us?
You can email us at webcrawlerspod@gmail.com.
I am Allie, Lakers Catfish Siegel.
I am Melissa. Fuck it, let's get a ball pit. Stetton.
Amazing.
And I'm producer Maria Juicero Blasucci.
That actually sounds correct for your name.
It's so good. Juicero Blasucci.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
An Erios original.
Powered by Acast.